All right. Welcome. So glad you all are here. Welcome to the Self-Tape Workshop for Film. We're so stoked to have you. Thanks for coming out. Awesome to have you in the Aura community. Eventually, hopefully, we'll do parties in person again and we can all meet and dance and have fun. But until then, we'll do these little Zooms and say hello virtually. So the first thing I want to say is we actually have a new member on our team. Her name is Nicole Rodriguez, and we're so excited to have her as a casting assistant as well as a sales rep for us. And so just want everybody to give a quick little welcome to Nicole, who joins us from New York.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hi, Nicole.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
If you want to say a few words, feel free.
Sure. I'm Nicole, obviously at this point, and my goal is to help bridge the diversity gap throughout Hollywood. So for that reason, I joined Aura Casting. Thankfully, Keeler gave me the wonderful opportunity, so I'm excited to work with all of you.
Yay! Yeah, we're so excited to work with you too. Just started last week, and yeah, we're in training mode, so things are going well. So you might see emails from her in the future.
Thank you. It's to W904.
Okay. And then for folks that are not speaking, let's just go ahead and mute ourselves just so everyone else can.
Appreciate it very much.
That would be great. So thanks for muting. Okay, cool. All right. So let me just mute there. Okay. All right, so let's begin. Another thing I wanted to say is we have this new resources page. I'm just going to drop it in the chat box here if everyone wants to see the chat. Oh, everyone's already blown up the chat room. So there's an auracasting.com/resources. If anyone's looking for agency representation, if anyone's looking for a headshot photographer or producers in the room today looking for a studio to shoot their next commercial, please utilize that. We have over 70 resources, primarily in the Bay Area, but for folks that are, a little bit more remote, there's some podcasts there as well. So feel free to utilize that. We'd love to get people working together as much as we can. So check out that site and see if any of those resources are helpful for you. Okay, so self-tape workshops, self-tape auditions for film. What does that look like? What does that mean? How do we do that? I think, the first thing I'll say, the most important thing I'll say is, auditioning from home is becoming a real necessary instrument for you guys to refine your craft and to kind of master that, because I think some casting studios might go back in person, but a lot of the producers, directors we work with love the convenience of the self-tape, right? I even actually had the other day a callback, as I showed Nicole the other day. It was like a callback through a self-tape. The director just gave the actors a few notes and re-record a self-tape. So there wasn't even a virtual component. So self-tapes can directly book you jobs. They're just really important to take seriously and, to learn the technological ins and outs of them. And if you don't know something, we're living in such a virtual age now that it's so easy to find it on Google or YouTube, how-to videos, podcasts. There's just abundant resources out there. So if there's a new instruction, like for instance, we might ask one audition for WeTransfer links. Don't know how to do that. Check it out. How do you literally type into Google, how do I do a WeTransfer? That's what I do. If I don't know something, I just, or unlisted YouTube. What the hell does unlisted mean, right? So it's like just trying to make yourself familiar. At Aura Casting, we always try to answer questions when they come in, but sometimes Nicole, Helene, and I are just so swamped with work. It's just tough proportionally, to get back to everybody. So as much as you can educate yourselves, the better it is. Okay, next sort of like high level thing I want to say is, the most important thing in an audition is your performance. Now that might seem silly. It's like, well, yeah, obviously. But I think especially with the pandemic and people just being stuck at home, they put so much energy into their setup and into the light and racking focus on these things when the major focus is you invested in the character, getting into the psychology, making the choices, thinking about what you're going to say, how you're going to respond, things like that, which are so much more valuable because you have to remember it's still an audition, right? The movie magic is going to happen on set. That's when they'll doll you up. That's when you'll have the proper lighting and the proper camera. But until then, we just need to see and hear you enough so that we know that you can perform and you can bring the goods. Like I just saw an audition the other day, talk about distracting, right? There was like a cat, there was like a kettle going off. But I was so pulled in to this woman's performance, it didn't matter. Obviously I would say, hey, it's always better to have, blank backdrop and lights and this and that, and kind of make it a little bit more standardized. But she was so invested in the character. I became so invested in the character. It's like when you see a movie, when you see an actor acting on the street, you see extras in the background. You're not going to be focused on the extras in the background, unless that performer isn't pulling your attention, pulling your focus. So, you can think about it like 80%, like you get an audition, 80% of the energy is going to be on the performance, 20% the technology side. And eventually the technology side just becomes very second nature if you haven't already sort of incorporated it into your auditioning life. So, think of all the money you spend. I don't know if new actors in here might have no idea what I'm talking about, but I'm sure a lot of actors remember the days of driving, to LA, San Francisco, New York, wherever the audition house was, and spending all that money on gas, bridge toll, paper headshots, and probably parking tickets because your audition ostensibly always runs late. Now, think about it like this, right? Transfer all those funds into a sunk cost, into a one-time purchase of $200 or $300, whatever it is, into a great lights, backdrop, fill lights, things like that. So what I'm going to do right now is blow up the chat room one more time. And again, this is just an example. This probably took me 7 minutes to just find, on Amazon, okay, what's an acceptable ring light. Also, if there's time at the end, I'd love to just, if anyone has like a nice backdrop, I feel like actors probably know more than I do in terms of like how they have a great setup. You see these setups from auditions, you're like, wow, are we in a studio? So, again, that's a good goal. But if you're not quite at that goal, and I'm seeing all of you now, you do your audition and you just nail it and you're in the character, that's workable, right? That's bookable. So I just want to put that perspective in your minds because I think people get so carried away with, oh no, I don't have the, it's like, we're sort of learning as we go. It's 2022. We had a massive global pandemic only 2 years ago, right? We're at the very beginning stages. So this is a nice little fill light I found, and you can feel free to like copy and paste these. But again, I just, sorry for the crazy long links. It's nice to have a microphone. If you can plug it into your iPhone or Android. Seeing you, hearing you. So you can click out to these links just to get an idea, right? And then test it, experiment with it, play with it, Send an audition to your friend, hey, how does this look? I just got this thing. Should I return it? Should I keep it? Is it working? And then the last thing I'm going to send, which we'll talk more about, is Big View. This is an app. Everyone should know about this app. If you have a lot of dialogue, your phone or monitor literally becomes a teleprompter. So I can set up Big View on my phone, put all the text in, and record my audition to camera. But that is more for commercial auditions, and that's not the topic today. Topic today is for films. Before we jump into the difference between commercial and film auditions, Does anybody have any questions on that? Anything that's been nagging them, bugging them, things they really want to know? I guess on the technological side, the setup side, or anything else?
I have a question.
Hey, yeah.
Mainly it's about the ring lights. So I've asked people like for lighting, what's best. And I've heard, oh, ring lights, great. I've heard other people do not use the ring lights because it gives the little circles in your eyes. So I just didn't know like if it's better to have like the umbrella lights or box lights, ring lights,
Yeah, I mean,
matters.
and here I am with my ring.
Yeah.
I think it's like, working up through levels and gradations. Like maybe your first investment is a ring light. And then, if you have a little bit more money to spend, yeah, umbrellas, fill lights, to sort of key lighting. And then it's so cool, right? It's like you're becoming a gaffer. You're like learning, okay, what looks good, where to place this. But absolutely, if there's not a lot of auditions happening at any given point, you have a little bit of time to invest in the technological side of things. Yeah. But having a ring light is not going to, deter you from getting a job. I will say if it's a close up and the ring light really visible through like your iris and I am so distracted, then yeah, it's like every audition is different. And there's so many extra variables now that we're at home and everyone has a different backdrop. Everyone has a different light. Everyone has a different microphone, just see what works.
Okay.
And the thing I'm going to get to later is, and it'd be so fun to like set folks up together, just like accountability buddies, like actor buddies. Like, hey, Johnny, how does this audition look? I'm thinking of submitting it on Aura. Is it okay? And have Johnny pretend that they're the director and be like, just ask Johnny, hey, Johnny, would you book me? Seriously. And Johnny be like, well, if your video were right side up, I would consider. I gotta believe I get upside down videos. That's one of the don'ts in the do's and don'ts portion of today. Okay. But anyway, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, another little quick question or anything before we go on to the major differences?
I have a really quick question. I typically self-tape on my cell phone, not really audition on my cell phone. I did it once, super cool, but I didn't have to interact with anybody. Do you know if you audition on your cell phone and they paste you together that we'll be able to see it? Like, I don't see anybody on here, which is fine. On my laptop, you see everybody, you can't hide them. So my question to you is, for example, if we're doing a theatrical audition right here and there are 3 of us, will they pin all 3 of us so we can see them from a casting perspective?
Yeah. So for virtual callbacks like this on Zoom, what we do is, the producer, director, myself will hide our views and we'll just focus on you, the speaker, and then we'll pin it. Absolutely. Yeah. And for the performer, you can, and I hope this is answering your question or at least getting there, is you can hide your own view so you don't look at yourself, which, can be sort of distracting in and of itself, that you can instead look at us. It's all about like hiding the views. Was that, or maybe I'm missing the mark here?
No, that's okay. No, so yes, we can hide and pin, but for example, if I'm auditioning with someone in here, right, and we're a family, they're piecing us together, will I, as an auditioner, and those 2 people on the cell phone, will we be able to see each other? I know on the laptop, I could see when I have to.
I think, yeah, for laptops, for phones, is that the question for like the mobile?
For the cell phone, like right now.
That's a good question. I think so with the new upgrade in phone. Because yeah, I mean, the camera quality is better on the phones anyway. So it's, it's a good question. Maybe it's something we can experiment.
I'll Google it. I just didn't know if you knew off top, and I'll watch some videos. But yeah, thank you so much.
It's definitely helpful, right? To see, your scene partner. What you don't know is if you're looking this way and you think that they're that way, but they're really on the other side of you.
Exactly.
In those situations, just looking in the camera is totally fine for the virtual. But for self tapes, and I'll just jump to this point right now since we're on it. For self-tapes in film, if commercials like big view, you might be talking right into the lens, but for film, it's probably a dialogue, right, with a scene partner. So, where is your eye gaze? It's not there, it's not there, it's not there. It's as close as you can to the lens so we can at least see you and see your eyes. If you're too far away, I've seen auditions where they're like literally profile. Like I can't see the goods. I can't see the facial expression. So, so the more that you can do that with a partner, that'd be great. Okay, great. Now let's jump to the big differences. I thought it was a good sort of launching point. So in film auditions, there's no need to do the hands profiles. I think people do the hands because especially in the Bay Area with our tech work, we always have these like commercials, looking at your phone, scrolling, how are your thumbs, do you have nice fingertips, whatever. It's these hands things. It's a default of a lot of actors here. You never need to do it unless we specify if it's specifically for an app on a mobile device. The whole profile thing is also not necessary for films. I see a lot of people doing that. That's for sort of more national commercial, like just to look at your profile, things like that. So don't worry about that. Begin your audition acting. Just start the scene. Hook me with your first beat. 30-second slates are just the worst. It's just like art up front, business in the back, right? My wife's in the background laughing. Is that a good phrase?
So can you give us the example of what the slate should look like?
Yeah. So if you feel impelled, you need to do a slate up front, 8 seconds. Hey, my name is Taylor. I'm with Stars the Agency. Thanks so much for watching. Boom. Something like that.
Okay.
And frankly, it can just be like, action. Cindy, you told me you weren't coming with me, right? Just start the audition with the act. And then at the end, it can be like, hey,
Okay.
and if you want to go on and on, you can't, as long as it's at the end, you can start juggling for me if you want. I mean, who knows if we'll watch it, but
Right.
you can take your time there. But in the audition tickets that we send out, we usually have a note section. So you can add like, hey, I see, the shoot is the 15th. I may or may not. I just want to let you know, what if you have a scheduling conflict, just leave it there. You don't need to put things into the actual slate, but just name, agency. And again, all the other questions I ask on the audition ticket, I have the information, right? So I try to make it so that your video is just you performing, because that's what we want to see. That's what we're here for. Hook us within the first 5 to 10 seconds. Because if you hook me, you'll hook Larry in Des Moines, Iowa, who's watching the movie, or Shelly in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, right? And like, that's the audience. So if I'm hooked, they're going to be hooked. So we call that tail slating, putting it at the end. It's just, I'll just sort of skip through if it's, because, we have hundreds, if not thousands of auditions sometimes. And it's like, I really don't. But I know it always comes from a good place, for actors. Like, I get it. It's like, you want to introduce yourself. It's this whole thing. Don't worry about formality, just get in there. We get it. This is 2022. We're becoming self-tape, intermediate, almost pros. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, it was like, well, and before the pandemic, self-tapes were sort of shunned, right? It was sort of an excuse. You were too lazy to come to the studio. So they said, oh, I used to be an actor and send casting. I was like, hey, Sarah, can I send this self-tape? Yeah, no responses, just sort of like dark. It wasn't a thing, but now it's a thing. So just get to it. Quick question from Gigi. Hi.
Hi, thank you. So when you were talking about slating, so if a slate is actually called for, we still do it at the end?
If a slate is called for, yeah. I mean, if, unless there's a specific direction to do a slate up front, always do it at the end, you know? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, at least for me. I mean, there's a lot of casting directors, but I would say that. Okay, so what else? Truly become the character, right? For a film audition, for a film, become the character, invest, buy the wardrobe, do the makeup, do the hair. Why not? Right? This shows a level of enthusiasm that these indie filmmakers are looking for, because frankly, I'm working on a film now, Mama Duck, it's only a $15K budget. It's not much. But the idea is that if we find the right talent from wherever in the country, bring them to Denver, shoot the thing, raise awareness, go to Cannes, go to Telluride, get notoriety, get film funding, then we'll have a $2-3 million feature film maybe we can play with. Right. So if you're willing to be scrappy and get in the dirt with, with these short film projects, can only benefit you. And furthermore, it's such a great opportunity to practice your craft. Even if you don't book Elaine or Jim, but you have an incredible experience auditioning and getting into the character, good for you. That only serves you. And that's also why I try to push the audition for films back as far as I can. Like this one we have now is due the 15th. It's been like 2 or 3 weeks since the posting went out. And the reason is, which is contrary to a lot of auditions, is like, get it in now. The reason is walk around with that character, go to a coffee shop with that character, talk to that character. Like, what does that character want, so that by the time you're ready, and there's, a fair amount of text. So getting comfortable with the text, memorizing. So but by the time you're ready, we have a great audition to watch, and you're in the character. And even if you don't get booked, who cares? That's not the point. The point, you can't control that. It's like karma or something above my pay grade. I don't know. but what you can do is just do the absolute freaking best you can do. It's all you can do. Just do the best. Do the absolute best, because that'll open up doorways unbeknownst to you. And you'll be remembered for future projects where you do fit in. Right? It's like casting directors are looking for acting and look. You can't always control your look. That's just random. That's just what the universe gave you. And, or a casting, it's like we're looking for the energy you bring, right? Looks, in the future of casting, looks are going to become irrelevant. It's not about, it's about the internal. It's about the energy you're bringing, who you are as a person. So, so really invest in that energy and become the character. Now, you don't have to go buy all this stuff. I mean, but if for the audition, but if you have something, wardrobe that looks like the character, or maybe you don't want to take a shower for 2 days and get the grease going, like whatever it is, just do it, just do it, because it really shows a lot. Another huge difference, again, between commercial and film, I sort of said, like 80% performance, 20% technical setup. I'd say for film, 100% performance, 100. Focus on that so much. So much. Approach this audition like it's a mini project, have rehearsals for it. Why not? I used to go to the Beverly Hills Playhouse. I don't think they call it that anymore. But man, we would invest so much energy into these scenes. People went all out for these scenes. And again, it's not all for naught. Like, it is a service, to the gods of film and theater and to your own growth. And like I said before, unless specified, you would not look directly into camera, right? You just have a scene partner and look at them there. Okay, pausing. Questions, thoughts, ideas, disagreements, go, action.
I had a quick question regarding how to upload videos and self-tapes, because I know YouTube has kind of been tracking down on like copyright So it's like I'm starting to like kind of be a little bit concerned about like uploading YouTube unlisted videos. So as like a self-tape submission. So I'm just wondering if you have any recommendations or if you know anything about that, and how you would recommend kind of like handling the tech side of that to kind of like not, I guess, like to kind of protect like people's writing ideas and intellectual property.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of services. There's Vimeo. There's Dropbox. There's Google Drive, where you can sort of have the unlisted feature. Where basically, the whole idea behind it is that if you have a streaming video, it's just helpful for myself and the director team, because that means we don't have to download a bunch of footage. Right. It's just a little bit more convenient. And so, if you can find, and I'm sure as we continue into the future, more and more software companies and tech companies will come out with, other options for uploading streaming video services. We just use YouTube because it's sort of a go-to and it's very easy to use. It's intuitive. It's free, So yeah, I would explore and see what else you can find, just as long as, it's easy for us to click and watch the video. And again, with the technology where it is, people think that the resolution quality is compromised when you upload. It's not true. It looks really good, and most people have, I was looking on the form and you guys submitted, it's like iPhone 11s, 12s, 13s. I mean, these are very fancy cameras, and Apple's whole new philosophy now is like, or phrase is like Hollywood in your pocket. It's true. It's these really, really, really incredible high resolution cameras. So that's why we use the streaming, but yeah. I hope that was a helpful answer.
Thank you. That was good.
Yeah, you bet. Anyone else on any?
Can I add?
Sure, Adam. Yeah.
I just really wanted to add real quick, going back to slates, 99% of the time, the producers or casting director will ask you what to put in the slate. And they'll say, please state name, height, agency, location, or whatever. So what you do is you follow instructions. And most of the time, they'll even tell you, please place your slate at the beginning or at the end of your audition. I've been casting director on a number of projects, and I know that sometimes I'm struck with the fact that if they can't follow instructions for the self-tape, are they going to be able to follow instructions on a set? And in fact, Taylor, I even sent you an audition for your project, and you very well laid out what you'd like to see in a slate, so you follow it. And that's the best way to get good success. Follow instructions.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue into this little slideshow I made. So I'll go into some do's and don'ts now, unless anyone has another question real quick. But thank you, Adam. You're spot on.
I just had one for
Yeah.
audition. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's kind of off the subject, but if you get a thing for a casting call and you're not the right age and they want someone overweight, but you think maybe, do we still audition even though maybe we're older than the character they're asking for, or do I just forget those?
It's a great question. It's so subjective. I think it depends on the character. Because we can overlook age if you bring a level of character that is more true than an arbitrary like 25 to 35, right? If you're so invested in the character, that can change the way we view the film, because up until the audition, it's two-dimensional. It's just a piece of paper. It's just some writer's idea. But once it's like manifested with people and living bodies, that's when it's like, oh my God, this is really what it's becoming.
Okay.
And this inspires, what our cast might actually look like, So yeah, if you think you can do it, you're a little bit older, go for it. But really nail it, right? If you know that you're an outlier, like do an A+, and really, really commit to it. Yeah. Good questions. Good questions, everyone.
I had a quick question, in turn, because I kind of asked it in the chat, in regarding to properly ending a self-tape, because I've heard people say scene, but someone here just said it's not professional. What is the best way to end the self-tape?
You mean out of the acting portion of it?
Yeah, I mean, like, do you just stop the
End it.
video, or do
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
scene, or do you
Yeah,
just?
I mean, especially if there's, okay, so for an example, like there can be a scene where the dialogue ends, but to really make the scene pop and work, there's a healthy, pregnant, silent beat, then let that beat play out for 2 or 3, 5 seconds, and then end it. That's sort of an artistic choice, right? If you like someone just said something to you, and then the end of the scene is you absorbing it for 5
I'm
seconds.
listening to this. I thought I heard. Yeah, a bit cold.
Sorry,
right
can
now.
can everybody please mute themselves if we're not having a direct? Thank you so much. It's just a little helpful for everyone else. I wish I had, better. It's always so, and I think this is a great point. I think the higher level answer here is like, it really just depends, depends on what the project is. It depends on what the scene is. It depends on the choice you've made in the scene. It depends on the choice you've made in the scene that you think will really add a whole new layer to the character.
So there's not like a universal like way. It's just it's a bit subjective, and it depends upon the scene and the character.
Yes, the quickest, most sort of logical answer is like, as soon as the scene ends, you just give it a few seconds, end it. You don't need to say scene, right? Because like, for instance, you wouldn't say scene in a movie, so you don't need to say scene. And so what some people do to differentiate takes is they put in the bottom, take 1, take 2, right? And then it's just sort of like a visual cue. In fact, it's preferred rather than like, thank you, that was the end of my first take. Here's my second take. I'd much rather see a visual. We get it. We get it. We really get it. Know that the director understands the material.
Okay.
So, gosh, I hope that didn't confuse you even more, but I wish there was an easy answer.
It did answer my question, but now it brings me to another question, if that's okay with everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I've seen auditions where there's actually more than one script, and the instructions do say, please read for 2 or 3 scripts for this audition. Do you just include all of that into one recording, or do you make them separate? Does that make sense?
For multiple characters in the same project?
No, like it's one character, and then they have like 3 different three different script scenes or scene scripts that they want the actor to read from. So should the self-tape encompass all of those together, and to break them up, you just say scene 34 or scene 50, or do you just make them all separate videos?
No, all the same video, always the same video. Okay. Yeah. With us, I know breakdown services is like slate and then scenes. It's like, for us, it's like just, again, it's convenience. That's sort of the whole like branding. It's like making it easy. So, all the scenes in one tape. Yep. Good. Okay. So now I want to share my screen and talk about a few other things. Let me just do this here. Okay. Let me know if you can see this. Some dues.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, great. So dues in film auditions, make a bold choice. Write it down. Make a bold choice. People don't make bold choices enough. The auditions I see, guys, are like a bell curve. At one end of the spectrum, it's like horrendous. Why did you even submit this tape? Are you kidding me? The majority are just very average. Yep, common choice. It's sort of like a meh, like, yeah, I guess. And then the in sliding end of the bell curve is like, holy moly, they're knocking it out of the park. That was different. Okay, be different. Be different. I know it's like, it takes extra work, extra internal grinding, extra, what am I going to do? How am I going to approach this? But really ingest the character, you know, do something that you know, as Dawn, as Jenny, as whoever the person you are would portray the character, right? How would Taylor do this scene, you know? I know myself, I'm kind of like loud and eccentric and like, and crazy and different. And I was like, okay, how would I bring myself with, you know, my flowered covered shirts? That's sort of the energy I have, and like this rainbow thing going on in me, and like universality and community, and like, how do I channel my essence into that character? So make a bold choice, which essentially means really just be you in that character. Don't do what, you know, you know, this is not like a stand and present oration class. Like most people that just stand and present and do a fairly decent job are in that bell curve sort of in the middle. It's just like, okay, this is just kind of average. Sure. Get it. Yeah,
Taylor?
Dawn, yes.
I just want to say something about this point. Watching your stories on Instagram has really helped me to realize this, because I was seeing people who were submitting for the same thing I was, like the airline gig recently, and they're outside, they're running up to the camera, they're you know, they're stretching outside, they've got their dog, they're running with their dog. I didn't think of doing anything like that until I saw the story you shared. So that got me thinking exactly what you're saying here. You gotta ramp it up, Dawn. Come on.
Wrap it up. Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. That's so fun how social media can sort of influence that. I'm glad, you know, that was not really a thing before, but now it's like everyone's doing things virtually. You can just kind of post and hopefully be an inspiration for others, for sure. Okay, making bold choices. That's like the most, if you don't take anything away from this class today, like that's all I want you to take. So are there any questions on making a bold choice or what that means, or any other detail? Gigi, yeah?
Hello?
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, I had my hand up for the going back to the sending the tape with one tape, and you mentioned multiple characters. Is it okay to audition for multiple characters and put it all in one tape?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that I would recommend that, you know, because when we look at all the characters on the back end, we look at everything together. So while it might seem disorganized from your perspective, it's not from ours. Because we're thinking, okay, Brayden, Shelby, Lane, what if she's Janet? I could say, well, maybe Fat Mama, you know? So it's like, yes, everything together.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Read with someone. You cannot hold a piece of paper. Read. Look how bad this looks. Aren't you so bored right now? What if I did the rest of the class like this? I'm bored. I'm taking a nap. No excuses. Bigview.com or whatever the website is, Bigview app. If this is your situation and you just need it, paste it behind. Get creative, get crafty. Or if you're so good that you can put it on the table and just so effortlessly glance at it and look back up, great. But please, you are going to be so not disqualified, but so you're just not going to be considered. I mean, back in the day, right? At like Nancy Hayes, remember we always had the scripts and the boards, and that's just how you did it. That's just how that's what it was. But now you have so much time at home to not need this. And so you can memorize it. You can, and even if you're not verbatim, not Tennessee Williams here, these are like scripts that people are putting together. They want to know the energy of the character. So please never read off a script and read with somebody. So sometimes people read and they respond to nothing and they just leave these spaces. So there are many ways to fix that. You can record yourself on your phone playing the opposite character. You can go to weaudition.com and hire somebody for like whatever it is, $6 for a session to be the reader. You can ask a friend to be a reader. Just have somebody to read with. It radically improves the audition. And by golly, the last thing you never want to do is be both characters. I've seen people be like, hey, John, what's up? Oh, not much, just hanging out. When you go into the coffee shop? I was thinking about 2. How about you? Yeah, maybe 2 or 3. Like I've seen that. Why? It's not necessary. And it's really not, and it just becomes sort of the joke. So read with someone, find someone. There's a lot of people, especially, people in your same agency. You can reach out to your agent and be like, hey, like, do you know, are there any actors I could read with? Or at some point, it'd be so cool to come up with like accountability groups with an aura. I don't know, figure it out. But it could be really fun because I think people want that, right? It builds community. It builds sort of this kind of artistic energy between people. And it's really exciting. And it can really help you grow and sort of build teams, build artistic teams. And then you can open up the team to someone else and maybe they're a writer. And then all of a sudden, writer, actor, director, you have a little content pool, a creative team, and you can do things, right? It's the era of making content and, no longer actors just waiting for the phone call. You got to get out there and make things and get creative with what you have.
I have a quick question about the readers.
Yeah.
From like the casting perspective, if there's a scene, let's say it's like two girl best friends and all I can find is like, let's say my boyfriend to help me, is it distracting if the guy is the girl or?
Oh no, that's it.
Okay.
You can always talk a falsetto though.
Okay, perfect. But he's definitely done that for me, so.
No, but even if they can, even if he
Yeah.
doesn't want to do that, that's fine too.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just to help you
Mhm.
because you're the one auditioning, right?
Right.
We just need to see you shine, and whoever can make that happen, whether it's your mom, boyfriend who's reading for Shelley or whatever it is, just it's totally fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Check your work. Like I was saying, before you submit a tape, people send in upside down tapes on the side tapes. Like the audio is terrible, right? Because all of a sudden now you're a gaffer, you're Mike, you're Crafty, you're wardrobe, you're everything. You are the mini production. So really make sure your content, right? Your audition content, your video, your story, your thing, make sure it looks good. Watch it a few times. Have the willingness to say to yourself, even though I know you don't want to, after you've done it and you see it and you're like, it could be better and this is going to be hard, but I need to spend a few more hours in doing this. Do it, listen to that inner voice that's like, this could be better, a lot better. Don't phone it in. You're not going to keep up. With virtual auditions, you have 5, 6, 7 times the competition because sometimes we cast nationally. Right? It's like, got to stand out, really got to stand out. And it's going to help you. See, that's the beauty of all of this. Like, even if you don't get booked for whatever project, if you put so much into that, that is really going to have, it's like an acting class. You bring it to your next audition. Make content on your own. Follow the instructions. I can't emphasize this enough. Thank you, Adam. You are so right. It's like, when you're looking at hundreds of auditions and everyone is sort of like doing things differently. And it's just like, if it was like one or two people, it's like, sure, I don't care. Yeah, I'll figure it out. You know, it's not that case. It's a lot of people. And so the more streamlined you can get it with the auditions, you know, if we ask for an unlisted video and if we transfer, do it. Because you know, that's how we're going to consider it. Okay. And then another thing is, you know, when your audition is, oh, website added this funny little green thing. When your audition is streaming on like an unlisted YouTube or Vimeo, you know, never take it down, because we'll go back to those videos way after you think casting is closed. Sometimes a year after, if I'm, you know, looking for someone's performance. So, you know, it's free with most of these services. You can just keep it up there. I don't think there's any storage limit. So that's important. Follow the instructions, become the director, right? Like, it's like, think about, okay, you know, you're an actor, you can do it. So you're in your acting shoes, and you do the audition. Okay, you're done with the audition. Take that acting hat off. Sit over here, put on the directing hat. Look at it objectively. Will I book that person? You know, did they do the research of the project? Are they really invested? Are they committed? You know, look at yourself in another lens. It's hard, you know, it takes work. And sometimes it's uncomfortable to look at your own performance. I get it. I've been there. I hate it. Movies I've been in, I can't watch them. It's just weird. One of these days I'll get over it. It's just strange. Self-consciousness. I don't know. But like, you know, look at it as a director. You know, that's a very helpful thing. I'll say it again, follow the instructions. Please, 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 please. Okay, some don'ts. Reading from a piece of paper, like I said, don't do it. Lead with excuses. I've seen people where they start their audition, hey, sorry, Taylor and team, I just want to let you know that like, I really didn't have time to prepare that much at all. I still hope you consider me for the job. Please, please. No, it'll be evident just if you didn't, but maybe you can fool us. Maybe you didn't have time to prepare, but you just pulled it off. So take out the excuse, put the slate at the end, lead with the goods, rock and roll. Okay. Sometimes you don't have time to prepare, right? Sometimes you're traveling and you're in a hotel room. Do the best you can. Do the best you can, but don't lead with excuses. That's just like, why would you shoot yourself in the foot? There's no, I mean, that doesn't exude confidence. That doesn't exude sort of this like mastery of the craft. I couldn't find someone to read with me today, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Lead a 30-second slate. Okay, becoming a broken record at this point. Submit a late audition. Don't do it, please. Geez, just get it in by the deadline. With commercial jobs I do, the earlier the better. With film jobs, whenever the deadline is, because again, I talk to the directors and producers and I really beg them for more time, because I really believe in the power of preparation for film characters. You know, this Marmaduke film, and it's so powerful, it's so poignant, it's so real that we, you know, you got to take a little bit of time to find that, you know, and if I give you a few weeks, maybe you can do it that way. Submit an upside down. Okay, I'll stop sharing now. Any questions on the do's and don'ts? I know we're getting up to the hour here.
Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. So every don't, I do. No, I'm kidding. No, I like the way you explain things, because there is an agency that don't want your slate at the end. So I'm making notes of which agency wants slate at the beginning, which agency wants slate at the end. So there will be no excuses and bold choices. Let's say there's a audition that you have for a cop or a doctor. It's okay to dress like a police officer or a doctor, or how far?
Yes.
Okay.
By all means.
Want that.
I think you were leading Listeria, like how far do you go? You go as far as you can.
Okay. Some don't want that. So like I said, I'm making my notes of what casting agencies want what. So there'll be no excuses.
Yeah.
So, and like Mama Duck, I'm bald headed, which you see my pictures, but I did the best I could.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you submitting. Thank you.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah. But yeah, is as much as you can commit, especially for a film. You know, if we send you a mood board, we send you all this material. It's like when you commit yourself, you're actually doing service to the director, because then it helps refine what they were thinking. You know, if you really get into the character, you're so invested, you have these ideas, you do it, even if you don't get booked, it's just a gift. And then what else was I going to say? Yeah, commercial auditions are, you know, a little bit different. You know, I don't tell people to go crazy about it. Like, you know, if it's a doctor and you don't have a doctor outfit, that's fine. Even if it's for a film and you don't have a doctor outfit. Again, I'm not trying to ask you to go buy a bunch of things, but you can get crafty and creative with things, you know, just in your house. It's pretty amazing. Do you have glasses that look like you could be a doctor? The way that they hang on your nose, you know?
Yeah.
Little specifics that can really pop through. Oh, another thing I wanted to say before I forget. Okay, you know, it's like, you see me right now, a lot of side to side. You see a lot of auditions like this. Wanted to say, in film auditions, it's so effective to come right up to the camera lens, you know? Play with that. Play with the depth of character. Look at Benicio del Toro's early auditions. Back in the day when he was auditioning for a project, he had one where his like eyeball was nearly on the lens. Right? It was kind of like crazy. But I mean, that's just, you know, you play with depth of field. I think it's really fun. You can, you know, because obviously the closer you get, the more dramatic it can be, right? So kind of use your three-dimensional space of self-taping to enhance, you know, whatever action you're going for, whatever feeling you're going for.
Okay, well, just keep sending the auditions. I'm going to impress you guys. I want to get booked, but hey, I want to impress you guys. I like your style, buddy. I can be me. I like it.
I'm glad you're here. Well, what other questions do we have? Anyone want to open it up? Hey, Radha, yeah.
Hey, so this sort of goes back to playing with the depth. It also has to do with sometimes the audition will say, we want to start in a full body, and then we want a medium, and then we want a close up. So what if you don't have that like zoom in, zoom out on your phone? Is it okay if you just start in the back, like far away, and then walk in? And then that's sort of what I've been doing.
What I've seen lately, which has really been great, is people actually take a photo of themselves in full body. And then if you have the editing chops, and then just put it on kind of the slate next to you, so you can see sort of you introducing and then your full body shot. But yeah, you can totally, you know, it's funny. It's like you would think there'd be more of a need to see full body shots on the projects I work with, because back in the day, that's what the whole thing was, right? You'd start off wide and come in. But, you know, my producers and directors, they just don't really care, which is, I think, a really good sign, meaning they just don't really, you know, they're going for what you can bring, not, you know.
And so the same note, if they want start like medium and then go close up, can I just move my body closer to the, like,
Yeah,
that?
totally.
That's
Totally.
fine.
Because I think there's always like auto focusing lenses now. You can just, you know, just bring it in. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I can just walk myself if I don't have the autofocus, I can just cheat. Okay.
Yeah.
And then another question too is, do you prefer selfie, or is it better to turn your camera around so you're not distracted by your own picture? Do you guys have a preference?
Yeah, let me open that up to the group. I'm sure there's a lot of actors who do this self-taping. Does anyone want to answer that, respond to that great question? Cherie?
Yeah. Oh, go
No,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're good.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, how you doing? I will say I would prefer to not see myself because I am so I'll be so focused on how I look, and I will detach my focus on the actual performance. Of course, we all want to look as good as we can, but the most important, as Taylor said earlier, is the performance. So it's better to focus your energy on your performance instead of just looking, because the thing is, like, the casting director will see that you're looking at yourself. It's something that we develop. We just like move, but then the look just stay a little bit on the right sometimes or a little bit on the left, and you can clearly see that you're looking at yourself. So I will not recommend it because I tried it. I've been doing that the first couple of months, and it was not a great idea. So I will just recommend to just turn it, you know, like shoot, record, and then if you want to take a look to see if things go the way you want, just like go behind the camera, look at it, and just make some adjustments, but don't look at yourself while you're performing. That's my advice.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, totally. Totally agree.
I'll just add to that. I think the quality is a lot better out of selfie mode. Like, this is great, but when I turn it, like, my freckles like really pop. So I'm just saying, I don't know what phone everybody has, but just check the quality for selfie mode, and then when it's in the other way as well. But yeah, it can be distracting looking at yourself. I never film that way, but I also am adding to the quality is better the other way, not looking at myself.
Yeah. I mean, another idea too is like if you can overcome the distraction of looking at yourself, I feel like that can solve it too. I mean, you know, that's probably a necessary skill for whatever.
Okay, so you don't
I
have a
think-
question.
Yeah, sorry, what's that?
Yeah, I mean, I think to piggyback on that is like, if you find that seeing yourself on camera while you're doing the tape, and that takes you out of your performance, and the moment that you're having or whatever is coming up for you, it's probably best to try the opposite and not look at yourself on the camera while you're trying to film the self-tape.
Sure.
I've tried it and it's not the best way of doing it. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've never done a I don't even know where to begin. So can you just like run through the basics for somebody that might not, I don't know, probably everybody here has done it, but I haven't.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I hear you. We're at the top of the hour. So what I'm going to do, we have a whole class on that, the whole like setting up the tripod. I guess
Okay, that's what I need.
202 class, the 101 class we did
Okay.
last year. I'll slack that out now. Let me just bring it up on my
Thank you so much. Yeah, because I'm hearing everything else and it sounds
I
so
know
advanced from
some
what
of it
I
might feel over your head. It's like, well, how do I even do it?
Yeah, because I get your notices. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds so great, but I have no idea. I mean, of course, like I've done stuff like filming something on the, computer or whatever, but
Yeah.
this sounds like more involved and beyond my.
I can't find it now. I'll send it in a recap though, for sure, the link.
Oh, that'd be great. I would appreciate that.
So I know it's the top of the hour. If people have to go, awesome. I'm kind of feeling groovy. If anyone else wants to stick around and ask more questions and share resources, heck yeah. If anyone wants to share tips and tricks, like this is an awesome opportunity, community forum. Like we've got 50 people in here. Like, share anything you'd like or ask me more questions or, it's floor is yours. Stage is yours.
Taylor, can I ask you a question as both a mom as well as an actor? So from a mom standpoint, I have a 6-year-old. So when I am shooting him, sometimes I'll do multiple takes with him and then I'll edit things together. Is that a problem for casting to have the clips snipped together, or do you guys really
No,
want
it's
one tape?
really, really good question. So with editing, as long as the editing doesn't get in the way of the performance. By that, I mean, I've seen, and I'll directly answer your question, but by that, I've seen like a paragraph of text split up into 7 different blurry, like edits, which to me shows, it's like they say the line and then there's like a little sort of blur cut. The next line, blur cut. To me, that says they can't memorize the script, or that they were having a hard time continuously saying the whole paragraph. And you see why that's a problem, because if the director on set wants to do the full thing, they can't, or they don't know if the actor can do it because their editing has gotten in the way of the goods, So anyway, sorry, that was sort of a side note on editing, which is really important for people to remember. But if it's editing clips together, completed clips, totally fine, right? As long as the moment or beat chunk of time is completed, yeah, you can cut that. You can even do a cool edit, whatever you want. You can do a dissolve. iMovie, go hog wild. But just as long as it doesn't get in the way of that's so saddening, because it's like, I don't know, like, could they have done the full paragraph of text, or was it just, too hard for them, or whatever. So yeah, it is, because now you're the content creator, right? It's like, oh, I'm learning all these things. iMovie, Premiere Pro, I can cut it and do this and that. And it's like, oh, let's have fun. It's like, yeah, well, don't get in the way of yourself. So I hope that helps, Rena. But yeah, put the clips together. Totally fine. No worries. It's great.
Cool. Thank you.
I just had one question, and
Yeah.
then I will have to go. So
Yeah.
I think I know the answer, but I just wanted to have a confirmation coming from you, my dear Taylor. As you can see, I have glasses, and I understood recently that when I auditioned for certain roles, it is better to slate and perform without the glasses. Do you confirm this advice?
You confirm or deny this allegation? I neither confirm nor deny. There are lenses you can get, and people back me up here, I'm pretty sure, that are like anti-reflective.
Oh, yeah,
Look,
yeah.
Deanna has them. So
Okay.
I know they're expensive. I know glasses are
No.
expensive, but I don't know. For future auditions and being on set too, it's really helpful on set too. And
Yes.
that camera, because I see it's very reflective right now.
Yeah, super duper.
Because you need to see, and like that's your look. Rock it, own it. You don't settle for
I love
contact
having my
lenses.
glasses. It broke
I
my
love your
heart.
glasses. I feel like you should be in like Zenny commercials. You
Oh, darlings, thank you.
I
Yeah.
have a suggestion too. I've had actor friends they'll take a pair of their old glasses and pop the lenses out, so they get the look without any
Ooh.
reflection.
Perfect.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
you're
darling.
welcome. Yeah.
This is such a great advice. Thank you. I didn't know about that. Yeah.
As long as you can somewhat see with that, having no lens for the audition,
Yeah.
then yeah, like
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, darling. Thank you. Thank you, Adriana. I appreciate it.
yeah. Jose Juan Hasso.
And you said it perfectly. That's
I did.
fantastic.
Oh, cool.
It's so good.
Nervous
You
about
will say Dasso. No, people usually say it wrong. So thank you for that. It's not a weird question, I guess, with everything being self-tape, and we have improv classes, theater, stage, all these different things. How would you add this to your resume, saying, hey, I took a self-tape workshop to show that we're still practicing our craft, because this is now part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the more workshops, the more classes, the more training you can get, always add that to your resume.
Okay, making sure I don't want to put that's like, oh, I got a tip off a Cracker Jack box, and I just put it on my resume. I want to make sure that that it's legit, but something you're not putting on there just because.
Yeah, I think, and I don't know where you are in your sort of acting journey, but when I was just starting out, it was like, oh my God, there's so much white space. How do I fill this with projects I've not been in yet? I go back to my college years. I'm like, okay, what play was I in? What director was that? What about when I was in middle school? Like whatever you can do until more projects rack up. And then, it fills up, it looks better. And then that's also when the training the list of training credits can decrease as well, because not everybody needs to see. But you know, in the beginning, or you really showing that you're like committed, yeah, putting in workshops, or a casting, or private training. Also on the resources page, team, there's a list of all these. I don't know if Danny is in today, but there's a list of private acting coaches that if you ever wanted to, continue the training one-on-one, that's a nice help. Or there's schools you can go to, anything you can do. And again, I always think like, oh man, if we could make this like this cool, like where everyone could just get together and do projects, like maybe when I recap the email, I won't BCC everybody. I'll CC everyone. So you can, be in the community and see if there's someone you want to reach out to, and, do the audition with, like Sherry Ann, she's amazing. She'd probably want to do an audition with you or practice, because she looked at this bubbly energy. This is great. She's ready to work. And she wants a scene partner. Scene partners are great, just like the more you can do together. And the last thing I'll say too is like, there's this sort of like underlying fear of like, oh, I don't have an act reel. It's not a big deal anymore. Okay, I'm here to tell you something. Self-tape is the new actor reel. Say it again. Your self-tape is that might be controversial to some people. I say that because it's specific to the project. It's how you look now. And those are the exact things I want to see for a project. And it's also easy to make, easy to do. Self-tape, easy to do. Have a collection of self-tapes that becomes the, your actor reel. And of course you can still make an actor reel. Of course, it's great. I used to love doing it too, and projects you get, but I always know how hard it is to find footage sometimes. It's like, even for me, from producers, it's like, hey, Chris, do you think I could have a link to that video? You like gently nudge them again a week later. I was just checking it. I don't know if you still have. And then the third one's on like LinkedIn, to make it seem like, oh yeah, I was just, so self-tape is great. So I hope that comes as some sort of reassurance for folks, because when I was acting, it took me years to freaking compile all of my footage and then hire an editor, and then the sound was just this whole thing. Age of technology, man. Just get on your phone, make a self-tape, submit it for the audition. It's all I need to see. Frankly, that can book you directly for jobs. My new catchphrase is, if you're going to submit, then commit. If you're going to submit an audition, commit to it. I'd rather have you really invested in the job than like, do a half-assed job. It's like, we don't need to see you not really caring about it. I'd rather not get an audition from you if you know that you're just going to phone it in, and that might mean you have to miss an audition. It's not the end of the world. It's kind of frustrating because I want to submit you to the client, but if you can't do it, you can't do it. There'll be more. It's not like you're on a blacklist if you don't make an audition. But you're definitely on my A list if you always make the auditions. Anyone else? I know we're totally over time. This is just so much fun. It's hard to leave. I'm such an extrovert. Yes, Radha.
Like you're saying, we don't really need a reel now because the self-tape is the new actor reel. Would you say that a selfie is the new headshot?
Oh my God, yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, it's always nice to have a professional headshot, just because it's nice to see you, put up, dolled up with makeup, with a look, like, especially if you have a headshot that complements a kind of dramatic role. If you have like a series of headshots, each one is catered to the comedy, to that is helpful. But again, like, what outweighs that is the self-tape, right? Is putting that headshot into moving frames in your self-tape. You follow me? So if you just have a selfie, that's fine. Again, with these Hollywood in your pocket, and it's like, dude, you get a great photo from a selfie, great photos. And you can even go out with like a friend or a spouse and find some nice lighting. Literally take like 20 to 30 minutes, do a few good snaps, especially if you don't have $600-700 to burn on new headshots. I know how it can be expensive. You know, it's this whole pay to play market, which is a whole nother soapbox I'm not going to jump on, I promise. Make it easy for you, right? Make it work for you. It's just like, I got to think of the director. It's like, okay, I see your selfie. That's who you, I got it. Like, okay, you have more lipstick on in this other shot and your hair is straight. Fine. But I got it. You know, there you are. There's your self-tape. Are you available? You know, again, the performance, the essence, the energy. Again, not to dissuade from doing things to bulk up the collateral and nice photographs, of course. But again, don't let this inhibit you. Don't let it intimidate you. If you don't have incredible headshots from all these incredible photographers, it's not, you know, and sign up on auracasting.com with a selfie. It's fine. You know, as long as you submit for the audition, then good. Yeah. Such a rebel. It's like, who is this guy? Yeah, well, you know, when you're new to the scene, you can kind of do things the way you want to do. Doing it your own way as a virtual casting director. Hey, it's a new era. Nicole's like, oh my God, should I have joined this company? Like, what's going on? This guy's great.
I'll support you to the end, Taylor.
Yeah. That wasn't scripted, everyone, I promise. That was a genuine.
It was scripted.
All right.
No, I'm kidding.
Don't let it out, Nicole. We had an agreement. Let's take one or two more questions. I want to honor everyone's time. Let's run it out strong. Paul Garrett, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Glad to be here. Thank you for having it.
Yeah.
One of the things I've run into people that are going, you know, what do I do for a self-tape? I don't have any material. What I started doing is I go to the Classic Movie Channel and started watching some of the golden age of Hollywood movies. And, you know, like this month, they had all Academy Award movies. And I tell you, you can find little snippets of something or other for a selfie in any one of the 300 or 400 movies that are out there. And nobody remembers them, because half the people haven't even seen them anymore.
Right.
So it's fresh, it's new. You may have to update some of the dialogue if it's you know, extremely dated.
Sure.
But I mean, I use Coffin Ed and Gravedigger Jones as my police persona.
Yeah.
You know, and those are from 1960 movies that everybody's gone. Nobody even knows they exist anymore, and they sure couldn't put those movies out in Hollywood now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
No, you're right. It's great material, things that you can totally use. It's, you know, it might even seem original to some people, like, wow, what is this self-tape? And they might not have reference, especially with the Gen Zers and millennials moving in. You know, the golden era of Hollywood seems, and you go back and watch those movies and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how could they say what they say? You know, sometimes people, it's just like the most outlandish things. But yeah, thanks for the tip. That's kind of cool. Anyone else? A little final note, thought, idea, Stephen? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, so when it comes to like bold and outstanding choices in auditions, I know that sometimes an actor will be outstanding enough that you'll consider them for another role other than the role that they were auditioning for. I was just curious if there's any instances where you remember a person that wasn't necessarily right for that particular project, but you'll remember them down the line for another project, even if they haven't necessarily submitted an audition for that particular project down the line.
I'm probably like the worst casting director. I try to remember people. I have a bad memory.
Sure.
But here's the thing. Yeah, if you stand out, you know, and you know, like for Amadak right now, there's a couple of people who've auditioned for, because we're going to have callbacks, you know, and they'll be virtual and stuff. If they've submitted for, you know, Shelby, but they're really Braden or something, you know, we're going to include all of that. So yeah, so basically, you know, it's like casting is the filter, and then we give our selects, that's how it kind of works, to the director producer. So even if you really stand out, but you're not right for the character, there might be something there. I remember one audition I did years ago in San Francisco. It was like a cross-dressing scene. I really dolled up and I had this beautiful hair and makeup and red lipstick and like fake boobs, and I was really into the character. Totally didn't book that role, but I booked the cop, the very like masculine, like testosterone. I was just like, okay. I think the idea was, well, shit, that dude is committed. Let's give him something. It was such a cool feeling, because obviously I would have taken any role. I just want to be on the set of this Japanese TV show shooting in San Rafael next week. Let's go. And yeah, they booked me for that role. And it was so hilarious. I had to leave my lipstick at home, unfortunately. I was really getting into the character. So yeah, the bottom line is always stand out, right? Because you might not be right for it in sort of the mood board and the look. But, I always love actors having a chance to audition, give them a shot. And again, if anything, it's always helpful for you, for the artist, to grow for a little bit in that role for a week. I could see you, auditioning, possibly for the role of Jim, you have the beard, you can pull off kind of that like Southern look, go for it. And maybe we'll ask you to read for Doug or, some other role in the callback, just as long as you're open to, hearing other perspectives and ideas on who, the best character could be for you and for the film. Okay, great. Okay, we'll do just one more, I promise, and then we can all have lunch. Anyone else? Or afternoon tea. Is everyone calling in from SF or all over the country? SF.
I'm in LA right now.
Oh, cool.
I'm in Burbank. So
Nicole's in New York.
Yep.
Reno.
Reno, right on. Reno.
Daly City.
Daly. Okay. Walnut Creek. Yeah. Nice.
Bay Area.
Right on.
Danville.
Danville. Okay. We're neighbors. Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa is becoming popular. A lot of people are moving out there. Well, cool. Well, let me know. Let me know if you have any follow-ups. I'll try to answer them. That's right. I'm sorry if I don't always get back to you. It's just like so hard for us sometimes. We have projects and just a final thought too. Some actors, I guess maybe new actor, I don't know. People have been confused. Like, people say, "Oh, did you receive my tape? Like, I need to know. Like, can you please confirm?" It's like if you submit it on the ticket, it means we have it. And it's the kind of thing where if we're trying to work with you, like, we're going to be the ones becoming annoying. We're going to be calling you, texting you, tweeting you. It's like, hey, can you do this job? Are you ready for wardrobe? Right. But if you don't hear anything, silence typically just means no. So again, nothing personal. It's nothing like, oh my gosh, right. It's just like, there's so many roles, there's so many characters. So there's no need to kind of like follow up and be like, can you confirm or deny this allegation? Just assume that it's at the end of the audition, there's typically an audition ticket, thing that says, hey, thanks. You've successfully submitted your ticket. You can write a review, follow us on Instagram. That's kind of a suggestion that you did it. Yeah, well, we're right on. Nice to see all these people. We had a really big turnout today. And yeah, give it up for yourselves. Give it up for yourselves for being artists and unmute. Let's let some roars out. Woo!
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope this was helpful.
It was, darling. It was.
Now,
Very much.
Brightens my day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye,
Yeah.
everyone.
Have a good
Bye.
night.
Books. Get
Remember, try this thing. Try this thing.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah, you got it, Sheree.
My next audition, I will.
You got it. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Nicole, do you want to stay on for a sec?
Yeah, I was waiting.
I need a debrief. All right, there you go.